Welcome inside episode 674 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains and ahead of a big game tomorrow against the New Jersey Devils. The Sens have announced they will be adding their first player to the Ring of Honor.
And Ross, if Locked On Senators podcast had a Ring of Honor, today's guest would be on it. It's Marc Methot, our recurring Friday show guest.
Lots to get into with Meth, and it's all brought to you by BetOnline. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. Visit BetOnline. It's where the game starts. And now the show starts. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Friday, November 18th. The show is free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow is to like every video by clicking the thumbs up and subscribing to the Locked On Senators channel. Be a friend, tell a friend. The road to 5,000 continues. Pilsy, the road to 10,000 continues on Twitter at SensCentral, ... for now.
Nah, come on. Twitter's not going anywhere. I mean, it's a bit of a bumpy ride when you exchange ownerships to a eccentric guy like Elon Musk, but I'm not worried. I don't know what we would do without Twitter, so I'm not even letting that idea creep into my head.
I don't know what the show would be without Twitter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it'd be bad.
Especially, I mean, now that it's more established, make sure you go subscribe on YouTube. A little bit different, but when we started out, that was a huge boost. So hopefully Twitter's not going anywhere. The interactions are endless and always entertaining. So just wanted to throw a little jab there. And I know it's almost like Y2K all over again. Everyone thought the world was end when it hit 2000. Everyone woke up and Twitter is still there as of the time of recording here at 8 a.m. on Friday. Pilsy, the Sens have a tough test ahead of them on Saturday. We'll get into more of that with a game day preview. Our 3 things to watch for. We'll post tomorrow early on YouTube, all of our social medias, lockedon.senators as well. But the big news came yesterday that Wade Redden, he of a veteran of 838 games for Ottawa, will be the first player to join the late, great Brian Murray in the Sens Ring of Honor. What was your immediate reaction, and how'd you like how the Sens did it with the video?
Yeah, it was cool with the video. I think this was the right spot for Wade Redden, because I think Chris Neal and Chris Phillips, both the Chris's, they got their jerseys retired because I think being drafted and playing all of your games with the Ottawa Senators holds a lot of weight. Not that Wade Redden needs to be kind of knocked down because he ended up going to New York and not playing his entire career with the Ottawa Senators. But now that he's back in the fold with the team on the player development side, I think he deserves to be recognized. And man, just go to his Elite Prospects Hockey DB, whatever, and check out the years that Wade Redden had with the Ottawa Senators, because I think a lot of people soured on him, which isn't really, again, not fair to him, because the Ottawa Senators chose him over Zdeno Chara. And I mean, if you put any defenseman side by side with Zdeno Chara's career, it's going to be tough to compare. So that feels like a high bar to set. And Wade Redden was a different style of defenseman. Like he was that puck-moving defenseman that always got the transition going. He was great on the power play. Like, this guy was smooth, and I think he's the perfect guy to be teaching the next crop of defensemen coming up in the Ottawa Senators pipeline how to play properly. And I think it's great that he's going to be in the Ring of Honor.
Absolutely. If there was a stat for most first passes tape to tape coming out of your zone, I guess zone exits for the most part kind of is that. And obviously that wasn't tracked back in his prime, that ran basically from his 3rd season in Ottawa all the way through until he left for New York for that big money contract that he was ultimately bought out of. But you'll look at what he brought was stability, he came to this team and helped solidify their first playoff run in his rookie year as a 19-year-old. And then was it every single year that he was in Ottawa? He didn't play in the playoffs in 2000. It must have been injury related, but every year that he played in Ottawa, they made the playoffs.
Wow.
That in itself is a pretty impressive stat when you came to a team that had never seen the playoffs before.
Yeah, especially a new expansion team, and you come in as a guy that was drafted high in the draft by the New York Islanders. Ross, the Islanders did the Sens a lot of favors in the 90s. I mean, some of those, like you look at the Chara trade, like I referenced, Spezza along with that too, and then Redden, like, sheesh.
And let's touch on that deal briefly, because how rare is it for a player to get drafted first overall, then a player to get drafted second overall, like Wade Redden was, right behind Brian Berard, and for the two players to be traded for one another within a year of being drafted? Sure, Berard then won the Calder Trophy the next year, but afterwards, like, you look at their careers, and I know an unfortunate injury to Brian Berard certainly shortened his, but Wade Redden was just your prototypical offensive defenseman. He was also a rare guy who was able to play his offside quite a bit. And you didn't see that much back then because it was always Volchenkov and Phillips was the shutdown pair. And then it was Chara and Redden in like 03, 04, 06 as well. Obviously the lockout in there as well. But he was so durable on this team. Always a guy who played as many games as possible. Like played 78, 79, 76, 81, 82, 80, like always dependable in his time in Ottawa. It's just unfortunate that people will remember him as being the guy who they chose over Zdeno Chara. But man, this guy, a lot of lessons to learn for the young kids on how to put it tape to tape consistently and be a pro on and off the ice. He was like he was also the heartthrob back then. It was him and Mike Fisher. Every woman in town had an affinity for Wade Redden, and he hasn't aged a bit watching that video. I kind of glanced over that, but the Ottawa Senators almost made it seem like it was a team meeting with the development staff. It was Sean Donovan, Jesse Winchester, and Wade Redden via Zoom, and then Pierre Dorion and Chris Phillips came into the room with Ryan Bonus and Trent Mann, and they're just like, hey, so you're going to be the first up there. And his reaction was so genuine. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, Wade Redden just seems like a great dude. Like, just like, even like I've never met him or spoke to him, but when I was at that rookie game in Buffalo, he was obviously there, and he just had like an aura about him. Like, I walked past him a couple times and everyone was chatting with him. He seemed like he was having a good time and having a couple laughs, and like, he just seems like a great guy. And I looked up Wade Redden highlights on YouTube, Ross, trying to get in the moment for this, and I'll tweet out the video because it's pretty funny, and it's a lot of cool moments, mostly pictures in this video. But they do a video. It's almost like an MTV Cribs type thing. And Wade Redden loves guitars, as you can see from that video the Sens tweeted out with all the guitars behind him. And the lady doing the interview is like, oh, can you like play us a little song here? And he plays Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, and he starts singing the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song as his song of choice. So that was pretty funny. And it was funny too, because he was like, yeah, I got a girlfriend now, blah, blah. And that's his now wife that was in that video as well. So he just seems like a good dude, and a lot of great memories. Like Wade Redden in those old 2D logos with the white on them, like your Alfie jersey back there. So crisp.
Oh, classic. And how about what he brought off the ice as well? He had Wade's World, where he had a box that was, they actually did a feature on it earlier this year. One of the former patients who was able to go and be in that box for a game got to meet Wade Redden at one of the first games this season. But it was basically his way of reaching out to the community, and that was great in itself. You look at where he ranks all time in Senators greats. Fourth in games played behind the three who have their numbers up in the rafters. Fifth all time in points with 410. Third in assists. And he's the franchise's all-time leader in plus minus. And he wore the A on his sweater for 8 of his 11 seasons.
Wait, Ross, you can't glance over that plus minus stat without giving it out. It is absurd.
plus 159 in 838 games. Unreal.
That's insane to be that high in the plus minus with one team. Wow.
100%. He was an all-star in 2002, even represented Canada at the
Yeah.
'06
And he got a
Olympics.
goal.
Sorry?
He got a goal in the Olympics too.
Oh, I thought you said gold. I was like, no,
No,
Alfie
not
got
gold. Goal. Yeah.
goal. Goal. No, hey, credit to him. And now he's turning his attention to coaching and developing these prospects. He's living out west, doing it remotely, but he comes in and helps the guys out when he can. I believe, yes, he's in Kelowna with his wife and
Nice.
3 children. Scored his first NHL goal on his first NHL shot in his first NHL game.
And I
Pretty cool
believe it
stuff.
was assisted by Alfie. I was watching the video and he mentioned it, so that's sick.
Shocker. So
Yeah.
the game where we will honor Wade Redden will be December 12th against the Anaheim Ducks. Very exciting moment for Wade Redden. And it begs the question, who's next? And we'll get into that more as time goes on. But the name I want to throw out there is Patrick Lalime. You got to get a Tendy up there.
Okay, see, I agree on the Tendy, but I think Craig Anderson should go up there before Lalime, but he's still playing.
He's not going to do it. He's not going to come with Buffalo, wear his Sabres tracksuit and watch the thing go up. We got to wait a couple years for that. And where are you at with Jason Spezza?
I would put Spezza ahead of Lalime too. Like for me, Craig Anderson, the best goalie in Ottawa Senators franchise history. He leads in almost every statistical category for this franchise, so it's a no-brainer that he needs to be honored. But Spezza's right up there too. Like the pizza line's legendary. Again, an Islanders trade in the '90s that happened here, or was that 2000?
2001. I didn't want to burst your bubble though.
Okay, I mean, for me, the '90s extended to 2003. So, like, it was there was a couple of years of transitioning out of the '90s.
Yep.
But man, him going to the Leafs and then working for the Leafs management, that really rubs me the wrong way. So I'm still a little sour on Spezza for now, but I'll give me some time, and I'm sure I'll come around.
Yeah. Oh, doctor, give me the needle. Just that call alone from Dean Brown after Spezza put Sheldon Souray in a blender and hit pulsate on it. Just spin, 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 spin. And then back in upstairs on Jose Theodore in overtime. That to me kind of puts Spezza in a league of his own. Also, the longevity in those different moments. Lots of great answers coming in on Twitter from Bruce Firestone, obviously, a guy who helped bring the team to Ottawa. Cyril Leader as well. Lots of great answers. We actually got over 100 answers on there. And a name I threw in that might be a little more suited for just kind of, hey, welcome back sometime. But what Kyle Turris did off the ice, especially, and his big moments. But then people are like, okay, then are you putting Pajot up there? Like, are we going to need a new arena just for the Ring of Honor? Like, where do we draw the line?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it gets a little crazy if you extend it too far. But the thing too here, and I appreciate this, is the Ottawa Senators, now alumni, feel welcome back to this organization. Chris Phillips came back after leaving. Chris Neal, similar story. Daniel Alfredson, similar story. And now Wade Redden is here. And those guys are all legendary guys. When it comes to the history of the Ottawa Senators, they all play a big part of it. So to have them working for the team again and honoring them, I think is a great kind of nod of respect. So I like that.
Stay tuned. I'm sure there's more to come, as Bruce Garriock hinted at us in the last episode a couple weeks ago in our episode with him. So looking forward to seeing who's next. But I mean, come on. It's got to be Jason Spezza at some point this year. And Patrick Lalime, for all the haters from that one playoff series, may I point you to a playoff series where he had 3 shutouts in 4 games? It's like, come on, this guy was an absolute stud. Couple studs playing in Saturday's game. Again, full preview coming on our social media channels tomorrow morning. But an expected goals for percentage of lines that have been together long enough, we got the 2 best in the National Hockey League going head to head as I'm pulling it up here on our YouTube. Tatar, Hischier, and Zetterlund, best line in the NHL right now. Stützle, Giroux, and Tkachuk right behind them. Super impressive there. And then Ottawa's going to see the 3rd best line in expected goals for percentage next week when they go to Vegas. But let's go to Marc Methot, Vegas selectee in the expansion draft, although never played for the team, kind of like Wade Redden in New York. Hey, expansion draft, entry draft, it's all the same. But, Pillsy, it's all brought to you by our favorite sponsors.
Yes, Ross. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting info this season, guys. It's going to be a very interesting game heading up against the Devils, who just beat the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. I believe now they're on an 11-game winning streak. So, sheesh, that's going to affect the odds for sure. And you can be sure to find it at betonline.net because they got all the latest odds, news, scores, player performance props, over-unders, whatever you like, they got it. And we're getting into World Cup season here, so there's lots more to bet on. Canada is in the mix finally. There's football going on. Thursday Night Football just happened. Basketball's in its stride. You got golf, boxing, UFC, whatever you like. You can find odds on it at betonline.net. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Guys, it's betonline.net where the game starts.
All right, let's get to our interview with the former Sens defenseman. Here's Marc Methot. All right, we now welcome on one of our favorite guests of the show. It's former Senators defenseman Marc Methot. Meth, how's your week going, man?
Horrific. Can't complain. The weather kind of threw a little bit of a wrench at me yesterday in the morning because I take my son out to Canada to skate with Shelly Kettles, the Sens skating coach. Needless to say, it was an adventure, and I'm never doing that again during a snowfall.
No potholes, though?
No potholes. No. Well, the car's put away now, so I've got the big mud tires on my truck, so that thing can handle just about anything.
There you go.
So at this point, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just dealing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your tire situation for this weather? But it seems like you're all set, eh?
Yeah, I don't have snowies on it though, and it's so I just put a lot of weight in the back of the truck, like in the bed, and it seems to roll.
The kid's
fun.
back there, right?
Knock on wood. Yeah, the kid's back there, super safe. So we'll just go with it for now. Yeah. How about you guys? Good week?
Oh yeah, I mean, anytime the Ottawa Senators get a win, it's a good time to be a Locked On Senators podcast host.
Two wins. Last spoke to Matt. Ooh,
agreed.
Settle down, Sens. Yeah, it's good. We were talking off air. My Nodak trip for scouting Tyler Clevin didn't exactly go as planned. Still,
I know. Well, before the show started, Ross, I asked you, and you're like, because I knew you were heading up there, and then at the last minute they pull the plug on Clevin, which is rare. Like in junior, even at the collegiate level, injuries just don't happen quite as often, right? Schedule's a little easier, so it's rare that a stud actually goes down. So right away I thought of you. I'm like, oh my God, he's already committed to the drive. Now he's pretty much screwed.
The complete diagnosis on Clevin, he got kicked in the back of the leg, a deep bruise above his Achilles.
Ooh, okay.
So week to week.
Interesting. Week to week. Wow.
Speaking of Achilles, Meth, does Eric know he's coming back to Ottawa yet?
You know, I'm not going to laugh about it because stranger things have happened, obviously. So, like, I don't have the nerve to sit here and just shoot down that rumor and just, assume it'll never happen, because it could. But I look at that price tag, guys. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, even if they can do some gymnastics and some salary retention, I personally don't see it. I'm sure Eric would be all for it. I mean, at least he's got the hometown thing going for him. Mel and her family are all from here, and they've got their house in the downtown area. So I'm sure he would welcome it. But, I mean, I just look at the lineup with the Sens right now, guys. I've got Sanderson now back there who's lighting it up. You've got Shabbat still. Like, that experiment. And I talked about this when San Jose acquired him, and they had Vlasic at the time there, and obviously Burns.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, you can only feed so many of these dogs. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to eat? And I don't see it happening in Ottawa. But would it benefit the team? Absolutely, especially short term. But I mean, if you're planning on having a Sanderson and Shabbat, PP1, PP power play 2, I don't see it. There's just not enough to go around. So I'm going to be the guy, the pessimist, to think it will not happen. I'll leave it at that.
Yesterday's episode was entitled "Should the Ottawa Senators Trade for Erik Karlsson?" So it's great media fodder, but we're both on the same boat where it just seemed to
not
make
even
sense.
An ounce of you guys think maybe. I'm just curious.
No, I'm glad you've kind of validated all my points, Mark. Basically, what I've been saying is, guys, I'm sorry to be no fun here, but the cap situation, his age, his playing style. You already got Sanderson, Chabot. Like, it just makes no sense for me. And I think some Sens fans are not really thrilled with that. They want the chaos mode, bring Carl back, whatever you got to do, work the salary cap, whatever which way. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't see the fit. And you said maybe in the short term would work, but unfortunately, Carl's got 4 more years left on that deal. So the short term isn't really an option.
And full, like, to be clear, it's not like any of us, we're not shooting down the idea that he would help the team. Obviously, he'd be a welcome addition. Right shot defenseman. They're thin there. They need somebody to fill in that top 4. We all know how many minutes the man can eat too, and he seems to have found that level again this year, which makes me so happy. And I've been talking to him quite a bit, and I mean, he's feeling good. But yeah, I guess as a conclusion to this point, it's like I just don't see the fit. That's the problem. It doesn't fit here in Ottawa. And I mean, why would they go after a player like that right now? I mean, like the salary, they're in no position, in their conference at the very least to kind of, let me put it this way, because I'm kind of rambling on. If they were making a legitimate push right now, this would be an entirely different conversation, assuming the numbers would work. But we're not even there, let alone the numbers thing. So there are too many variables pushing back on this move potentially. So again, I don't see it.
Erik Karlsson would lead the Senators not only in points, tied with Brady Tkachuk, he would actually lead them in goals. He's got 10 goals.
It's wild.
That's wild. Oh my God.
It's insane. It's insane. I know. And I mean, Erik still plays that run and gun game. When he's on his game, you're still going to give up chances against, right? I've been watching him quite a bit there. You're still going to get the odd breakdown because he's taking his chances, and he's obviously going to rely on his teammates, his D partner, to kind of cover over for him. Again, another point, just doesn't make sense here in Ottawa right now. They've got enough defensive issues as it stands, and we can get into that with the Buffalo game. I mean, I'm in the camp in that they dodged a bullet in that game, and I can get into it a little bit more. Yes, they win 4-1. It looks great on paper, but like that first period, guys, I mean, it, like the exchanges back and forth, they were just playing wide open hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, this is not what you guys need to be doing right now. But they made it work. A win is a win. I just don't see that win happening without Forsberg standing on his head.
That is literally what our thumbnail said in yesterday's show. A win is a win in this situation.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah. Right? Like, it's a slot.
You take it. When you're tied for dead last, you will take those 2 points any way you can get them.
Yeah, and I'm not shitting on I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying, like, take the win. I'd be happy if I'm playing too, and we'll get into it more here in the details. But man, like that first period, I'm watching it on the couch last night, and I'm thinking, like, here we go again. And then Austin Watson gets his own rebound and goes shelf from the high slot. I'm thinking, okay, it might actually be one of those nights where Ottawa can steal one.
Yeah, silly season. Before we get into that, though, we need you, next time you're talking to Carl, he needs to know that, like you, Montreal and Toronto are not options. Okay, I don't care if it's Ottawa or not. He cannot.
Oh, no chance.
Cannot.
No
he
chance.
Cannot.
I don't see it. No, I don't see it. I'll put Ross. Just for the sake of conversation here, I'll pass along the message. Okay.
No. I need you to.
This is not a request.
No, even if I see a Photoshop of him in a Leafs jersey, I might throw up. But we know that their cap situation is already screwed. Hey, have you ever tried to fight a fan in the DMs?
Okay, we're getting into that. Actually, I'm glad we're going into this because it's entertaining, and that's what we do. I mean, if we don't talk about it, what are we doing, right? We can only analyze each individual Sens game so much. So let's get into some TMZ style reporting.
Yes.
Look, and I know for those who are completely oblivious, we're obviously talking about the Nikita Zaitsev Instagram fiasco from the other night. I don't know, Ross, do you want to maybe explain it briefly, or have you guys already done that?
Yeah, no, just quickly. So there's a fake Bruce Garriock account, and I'm 99% sure that Zaitsev's family believes that this account was actually Bruce Garriock. And it was tweeting out memes, disrespectful, I would say, but not like personal attacks.
Not crossing any lines,
There's two things, just to interject really quickly, there's two things that can be true. They can be pretty harmless posts, and that's all good. And I can also suggest maybe that the Instagram blowback from like Zaitsev's camp is also it's very unprofessional, but I can also understand that. I'm okay with both. I'm okay with fans posting insane memes that are like, not insane memes, but critical memes of players' play. It happens around every game, every sport that you can think of, people do this. So anyway, sorry, continue.
No, I was just saying. So then Igor Zaitsev, Nikita's dad, got into it in the DMs. And I mean, my advice to this guy on Instagram, and as fun as it is to go back, like, should have just left it. Like, obviously he doesn't, like, just leave it. But anyways, then Zaitsev says, let's meet up. Let's hang out. Let's talk about it. Awkward situation for Bruce, eh, Matt?
So the Bruce thing was funny. I still think you're giving them too much credit. You have to think at moments click, like when you're like, let's say you're Nick Zaitsev's dad or a family member and you're critical and you're pissed off, you're going to go to that individual's account and check it out first. No, like you're going to do a little bit of due diligence, at least take a quick look. I mean, the moment you click on the account, you know, it's not a media member. I think they were just I think they're just pissed off and it's boiled over. I mean, all this critical, the criticizing from media and fans eventually can get to you, especially if you're on social media. So, you know, I've been involved in back and forth with fans, but I pick my spots, and most of the time when I do it, it's by design because I know it's going to draw a lot of attention, and that was more the, you know, the media side of me. Even when I played, I knew what I was doing. I never really took it to heart because, I mean, I could probably search my name right now on my phone and find something negative somewhere. But when you're in that position, you have to understand that, like, this could be anybody. This could be a 12-year-old, you know, just posting pics and memes for likes and clicks. And you just so happen to be the easy target at the time. Like, it's like, just don't take it seriously. But it's easy for me to say that now. And of course, when, you know, you feel the weight of the fan base bearing over you because you have been playing very well, everything's magnified. And of course, you're going to be a little more sensitive, and one thing leads to another. So, you know, for me, it's simple. It's like, if you don't like it, stay the hell away from it. Just don't search your name. Don't pay attention to that stuff. Now, if it gets personal, if someone's attacking you or your family or making some lewd comments, then I can understand you might want to defend yourself. And hell, even if it's harmless, I'm okay with Zaitsev challenging the guy. It is so funny to see how quickly people fold. You know, and I've dealt with this before. I've posted some egregious stuff on Twitter. It's drawn, you know, my gun stuff, and I can be a pretty conservative individual, and there's some things that I'll speak out on sometimes, and I can take it if you don't like what I'm saying. It's all good, and it can be a little overwhelming when you're reading all the posts. It's just funny to me that when a fan finally gets a little bit of a response from somebody, and maybe they get 5 or 6 comments like, "Oh my God, everyone's coming after me." I'm like, you people have no idea. Like, try filtering through hundreds of aggressive posts. If you pay a lot of attention to it, it can really get to you, and I understand that. But I just found it funny how the original poster kind of got defensive as well, and I'm all for it. But I just like to see the shoe on the other foot and see how people handle it. Sometimes it can be quite entertaining as a retired athlete. I'll leave it at that.
Well, and the thing that I tried to emphasize, Marc, was you also have to realize that this is probably Nikita Zaitsev's lowest point of his career, right? Like,
correct.
The fans are all over him. The record shows when he's with the team, they cannot win. And then he's a healthy scratch. He gets waived. Nobody picks him up. He's just sitting on the sidelines. Like, as a person, like, that is a big hit to your ego. Now I know fans will be like, "Oh, he's got millions of dollars, boo-hoo, whatever." But
the money.
It's tough. Like, he's on a public stage. He's not playing well. The team's not doing well, and this is a low point in his career. So he's gonna get personal with it, and that's where I'm with Ross on this one. Is that guy should have just been like, "Okay, I'm out. I'm done here." But it got furthered and escalated, and things got a little silly.
And Pilsy, like, people forget. Well, people. I shouldn't say. I say people. I mean, I feel like everyone's aware. It's just when you get that instant attention, if you're running like a meme account or something, there's a little bit of gratification behind getting a pro athlete's attention or somebody else. So I can understand sort of the mentality there. But I mean, you know, you're kicking a guy when he's down. You're probably going to get a response, and that's probably what they were looking for, and they got it. And sometimes you don't necessarily get the response that you were looking for, right? Like I saw a bunch of big accounts catching wind of this and then reaching out to the original Sens meme account that was starting this thing, and they were critical of that account. You know, like the Not Danny Heatley account got involved a little bit, and a bunch of people started chirping the account for getting mad at Zaitsev, right? So it's just proof that Twitter's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
and Instagram is a big toxic pile of shit dumpster fire as well. And if you take it seriously, which some people do, I mean, you literally can create some mental health issues like in the moment. Like it can really play mind tricks with you, and everything just seems like a much bigger deal than it is. So you really need to sit yourself down before you're willing to get involved like that and go, okay, listen, this isn't real life. You know, I'm going to post some stuff and then I'm going to post and ghost. You know, and that's
the post and ghost. It's like the dump and change, eh?
That should be the approach. But it's easy to say that when you're trying to grow, you know, if you're trying to grow a brand, you have to be active. You need to respond to people. You know, you've heard of big accounts out there that have millions of followers and they'll be like, yeah, just post and ghost. Post. Like, that's not a great way to grow your brand either, though, because engagement comes from responding to people, talking to fans. So, you know, there's a balance, and you got to find that healthy medium in between both sides. But I guess my conclusion is, you know, if you're a player like Zaitsev or any player that's struggling in the moment, and I know I've said this on Twitter, you got to delete the apps, or like most players, just don't pay any attention to it. Have it for the odd charitable post where you're going to retweet some guy that wants to, you know, help, I know, raise awareness or whatever it may be, but do not search your last name. I see a lot of younger players doing that closer to my retirement, where we'd be on the bus after games and I'd be at the back having a beer with Eric or whoever I was playing with at the time. And you just see the phones light up in the bus, right? And everyone's looking through Twitter, and not everybody, but a large number of players. And I think that's not healthy. You just can't do that. So that's the game now.
Yeah, certainly. Good insight there, Meth. Let's get into the game we saw the other night against the Buffalo Sabres, which you said in itself, sloppy is one way to put it. But first, here's a quick word from some of our favorite sponsors. You are listening to Locked On Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Pillar, and we have Marc Methot with us, who is guaranteed that Erik Karlsson will never play for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, this is turning into TMZ. I don't think I ever once said guaranteed. What are you guys running here?
That's the screen grab. That's the clickbait.
A complete joke is what we're running here. But hey, this is episode 674, so we got to be doing something right. Matt, I hear you're scared of the cold. You're already leaving. It's been snowing for 5 days.
I have, yeah. So we were talking prior to the show. I'm going to Jamaica on the 1st. On the 1st. What am I talking about? Next Monday coming up. Back the following Monday. We're leaving the kids at home. It's probably our last trip doing that.
There you go.
Because I know 3 days in, we're probably going to miss them to death and want them to be there. But my brother and my sister-in-law are going to be coming along. So anyway, I got a nice little window there between broadcasting. So my last game will be on Saturday this week. And then I'm not back on until the following week when we get back. So found a good opportunity.
Got the green light.
Guys, yeah, and this is my first time going away ever before Christmas. You know, usually we'll go away on a vacation. We don't go away often. I'm crazy, right? Like I need everything to go smoothly. I need my flights on time. I need my food to be good. I'm a prima donna. So if things aren't the way I like it, I'm not even going to bother entertain the idea of going away. But we've got a good window where we had a travel agent help organize everything. So I'm looking forward to a little time off.
Speaking of go away, this is actually kind of a good transition. The Ottawa Senators are about to start their Western road swing here. What's the mindset for, especially when you played in Ottawa and you're going to California for those trips? Like back when you were playing, it was a lot more tougher. Like those were top teams in the league, although there are some top teams there with Vegas and LA. Ross and I were mentioning last episode. Is it kind of like a lot of excitement, like, hey, we're going to get some better weather, etc.? Or is it like, okay, although this seems like a vacation, it's still strictly business? Like, what's kind of the mix there between pleasure and business?
You're probably going to get more of a mix, Pilsy, if you're in the situation that Ottawa's in now.
Right.
You know, if you're in the hunt and your team's playing good hockey, your mindset's a little different. You're thinking, okay, warm weather, fun places to play hockey. You know, walking around outside in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, going to the mall, like stupid, trivial little things that just seem to be that much more exciting, especially when you're leaving now. You know, the snow's on the ground. And I mean, I love the winter to a degree. I like the cool weather when I can skate outdoors and do all those things. But there's something to be said about getting off the plane and getting that warm air hitting you in the face. The California trips are always fun, especially if you've got a favoring schedule where you can have a couple really nice dinners out in like West Hollywood or other areas around LA. Right now, I feel like, it's a little different than when I played, because when I played, you mentioned it, the teams were just a nightmare to play against. Like LA, San Jose, they were fantastic. Phoenix always kind of sucked, but there was still an opportunity to lose there because of all the distractions. But now you throw another wrench in there with Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different animal, right? But you're going to Vegas, so that's fun too. So, that'll be a really challenging trip for them, and they're already in a tough spot right now. We all know the numbers. We know how they have to finish the year off now, and it's what's the number again? The record they need to finish. Do you guys have it?
Yeah, it was 41, 18, and 8, I think, is the statistic to get to 100 points. So, and I think that's a 67% win percentage. So
they're giving that's eight overtime losses.
I know. And that's what I'm saying. So anyway, I'm not going to go there. I don't want to, I don't want to be negative, but
it's Friday.
Focusing on the trip. Good opportunity though for everybody there to have some fun, maybe a little more team bonding. Maybe they need that. I don't know. But I mean, if last night's game is any indication, the Buffalo game I'm talking about is any indication of the type of play they may be carrying forward, despite that win, I think they're going to be in trouble. And I'm a Sens super fan. It benefits me when they win games. But right now, I mean, that can't keep up. They can't sustain it. You can't rely on your goaltender like that.
And a 20-year-old defenseman. Like, talk about when you got into the league, and you were even a couple of years old when you made your NHL debut. Just one, played 20 games at the age of 21. But what do you think his teammates are thinking about him right now? Like, watching Sanderson do what he's doing. If you're a veteran on the Senators, are you just like in awe of how comfortable he looks?
Mind blown. And I think I'll go one further in that, I think you get to the point where he's playing so, like, for me, it's consistency. There's an adrenaline factor. I went through that when I first got called up, where I was playing out of my mind for 5, 6, 7 games, and then he starts to cool down a little bit. He's not doing that, and he just. I'm not going to get into the numbers thing again, because I feel like I've been fluffing this kid now for a couple of weeks, to the point where it's like, okay, we get it. He's really good. He's just playing out of his mind. I don't get it. I don't know where it's coming from at that age. So, the fact that he's the number one defenseman on this team now, I don't care if it's a bottom feeder team or a top tier team. You're playing in the NHL. He's played 16 games and he's playing incredible hockey, and he's putting up numbers. Like, it's one thing if he's getting the odd assist here and there, and he's being rewarded point wise, but he could be sitting on 4 points right now, or 3 points, and I'd still be, like, just talking him up the way we have been, because he's just so good defensively. The puck poise, all that stuff that we're seeing in his game. So what a breath of fresh air. I mean, really, if you think about it. So not worried remotely about his game. He logged 25 minutes last night, and I mean, he'll make the odd mistake, but those mistakes are mistakes that are expected. Like, instinctually, when I'm watching his play, he's making all the right decisions, and that's from 200 feet up in the bowl watching the game. So, yeah, he's been incredible. I thought Brady was really good last night again as well. Of course, Anton Forsberg, terrific. I mean, I don't think they win that game if Forsberg doesn't play the way he does, though. Like, they played way too wide open in that first period, and they carried over a little bit at times throughout the game. Like, there was a sequence in the second period. I don't know, there was like 4 or 5 minutes left in the second, where I think it was Middlestat and
Cousins.
Who did he hit? Cousins. Yeah, exactly. It was Middlestat and Cousins. And there was one guy back. I don't remember who the defender was, but it was Brandstrom, I think. He was the last guy back. But even he was caught up a little high. And then you have the rest of the guys up top. So structurally there, I don't know what the hell they were doing. That could just be I'm cherry picking one play, but that just kind of painted a larger picture of all the mess ups that they had defensively. So if they don't shore up their defensive play right now, they're going to get eaten alive on the road, especially with that last change. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see, because their power play has been so hot and cold. Like, it's either amazing, or in the first period, they couldn't even go to their own zone. They were like 3 turnovers back to back.
Yes. But look, you're talking about special teams. Never mind the power play, because at least the power play does look good at times. You can't be giving up all these penalties here. I don't know what the hell's going on with the discipline right now, and a lot of them are just stupid penalties. So, how many? I had it written down here somewhere. I'm pretending like I look at my notes. I don't know how many PIMs they had last. 18 penalty minutes. Yeah. I mean, come on, you can't have that. So you can think, well, boy, they blocked almost 20 shots, and a lot of that is just all the penalties they're taking, and they're just getting in lanes and blocking shots. So they're going to have to clean some stuff up right now. We all know it. I don't know what the answer is. Keep your sticks down. Be aware of where you are on the ice. Clock management, but I mean, that's about as best I could say it as far as being detailed as moving forward, especially looking in. Well, look at Saturday. I'm doing the game Saturday. They're playing against Jersey. I mean, speed and skill. They're going to get eaten alive if they continue this play. They want to trade chances. They're going to get beat up on the score sheet.
Yeah, but hopefully, we're hoping that Artem Zub can be in the lineup because he's practicing in a regular jersey. Meth, if he is in the lineup, where do you put him? Because it seems forever ago that he was even in this lineup, and when he was mostly playing with Thomas Chabot, who's still out with a concussion. So where would you put Zub if he does come back?
Right now, I don't know. I look at the way Sanderson and Hamonic have been playing together. I really thought Hamonic was playing good hockey earlier on in the season. Like that, those first dozen games was a nice stabilizer for Sandy and looked good. And I thought and I didn't pay much attention to him last night, but I thought he's been struggling as of late. A lot of turnovers, struggling on the PK on clears, some weird puck handling decisions. Easy for me to say, of course, but I maybe put him there with Sandy and have him. That's your glaring top pair that eats up a shitload of minutes. But I don't know. I mean, they're so thin right now back there, especially with the Shabby out. It's like, I mean, you're going to have him up there in the top 4. It just depends which player you want him playing with. Or do you split up Sanderson and Zub and try to stabilize those two pairings? I don't know. You guys tell me. I have no idea.
It's going to be super interesting. You just hear, but I know that Sanderson's like so NHL ready off the ice. Like, his dad's instilled that in him, but he just raves about playing with Travis Hamonic after the game. Like, I think he brought him up 3 times unprompted. Just having Hammy on my right side just makes things so much easier. So
and that's good.
If they leave it there just because that's what Sandy wants. Jeff,
exactly.
Remember going to the season, it's like Jeff Sanderson was the guy who wanted him playing with a vet.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's there. That just reinforces everybody else's point, and that maybe that chemistry thing, despite some of the turnovers and mistakes that Hamonic is making at time, maybe don't mess with a good thing. I mean, if Sanderson's playing well, you could make that argument too, I guess. I'd be real concerned if this keeps up though, because Sanderson's taking on so much responsibility, and we see what has happened at times with Shabby, where to no fault of his, just exhausted from all that responsibility and all the minutes played. It can wear on you, and certainly on a player like Sanderson that has never played an 82-game season, like, can he handle that? Maybe. I don't know. I just think at this point you're going to have to start controlling those minutes a little bit more, because I don't like seeing him playing 25 minutes a night. I know he's got that potential, but he has no idea what it'll feel like, at game 60 with this pace right now. Yep. So we'll leave it at that. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong at some point, because I know he's a special talent. But you got to be very careful with that stuff.
Absolutely. Matt, we appreciate it. Enjoy your trip to Jamaica. I expect you to be rocking dreadlocks next time you're in. I want the reggae tone hat. I need it. I need you singing 3 Little Birds when you come here.
Next Bob Marley, I'm down.
Bob Marley. But enjoy the trip, man. We really appreciate you. And I'm going to leave you with this. The Senators are heading to San Jose, then Vegas, then Anaheim, then LA. Next time we chat with you, and you got to mix in the Devils, who won 10 straight heading into their game against Toronto tonight as we're recording here on Thursday. That's 5 games. How many wins will the Sens have out of those 5 games when we talk to you next?
Are you asking me now what I think they'll end up with?
Yeah.
I think they'll be lucky at the and don't get mad at me, people. I think they'll get lucky if they get 2 of them.
Okay. Have a great Friday, everyone, with that. For Marc Methot, we'll make sure that we bring this back next time we chat with you. We'll see how they do. You're saying 2. Pillsy, give me a number. What do you got?
I'll say 2 also, but to brighten it up, they'll get a loser point in there as well.
So 2-2-1 you got.
Yeah.
All right, I'll bring some positivity. I'll say they go 3-2, and one of them's a come from behind third period win that they have not done yet.
Wow.
I hope you're right. I hope you guys are right. I'm just trying to be realistic. That's all.
One thing I can say for sure is the sun will be shining in Jamaica next week. Meth, have a great chip. For Brandon Pillar and Marc Methot, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.